leaf and copper leaf. So this is some gold leaf. It's actually attached to a piece of tissue paper, and we can put it onto glass or onto any other hard surface using some gold size. Now this is an acrylic one that I'm trying. Back in the day we used to use a varnish type substance, coat the surface with varnish, allow it to nearly dry, and then apply the gold leaf to that. And we used to do Woolworth signs above shops probably 40 years ago, 35 to 40 years ago. And we used to use what's called a long oil or a short oil varnish. We want a short oil varnish for gilding and metal leaf because it contains less oil, more substance. So a long oil varnish would have more liquid, less solid. So you want something with more solid in, excuse me, so it provides a kind of cushion for when the leaf goes on the substance. So here's a bit we've just tried out on a bit of scrap glass, and when the leaf gets applied to the glass, you want some cushioning so that if there's any imperfections in the surface that you're putting it on, it will go on better. Now this one, I don't know whether you can see, but you can see some lines in here. These are brush strokes from putting the size onto the glass, and if you can see on the glass, on the edges, we can see the brush strokes. So we're going to do a piece of glass with copper leaf and try and eliminate the brush strokes. Now the copper leaf, again, this is a copper. There's a couple of different types. There's many different types of metallic leaves, and they're all very loosely adhered to a tissue paper. So what we would do, we're going to coat our surface, press the leaf onto the surface, rub it slightly so this will then adhere to the size. So as I say, this is an acrylic metal size, and so we put it on the surface, leave it for at least 15 minutes, possibly longer. It will stay okay for, it says up to 24 hours, so it can go on the surface, and within 24 hours we need to stick our leaf onto that surface. We're going to protect this with a exterior grade varnish because the copper will oxidize and discolour. So we're going to do a tester on this to make sure that the varnish is compatible with the leaf and the size. I did this about 6 months ago, and this size is still actually a little bit sticky. Generally, rule of thumb, if you're using water-based paints or substances, stick with water-based. If you're using oil-based, stick with oil-based. I'm going to try putting an oil-based substance over a water-based product. We'll see. I'm hoping that it's going to seal this surface and it will stop any oxidation taking place on that. So this bit of glass is what we're going to be working on, and we're going to try and copper leaf one side of it and use it as a windowsill in a bathroom. So we want it to be able to withstand some moisture, so we're going to copper leaf it and then put some yacht varnish on it to seal it, flip it over, toughened glass will form the windowsill. First thing I'm going to do is clean it all, make sure it's got no grease or wax on it. So the size is now dry and gone clear, so this is quite a sticky surface now. I've got two colours of copper leaf, slightly different. So I'm going to try and do a kind of alternating mosaic pattern, starting from the centre. And this is my centre line, so I'm going to try and get a piece that's going to be pretty much like that. So I've taped up the edges before I've sized it. It's toughened glass and there's a beveled edge all the way around. So I wanted the copper to come to the flat edge of the glass and not go down the bevel. So I've taped it up, trimmed the tape so that the beveled edge has got tape on it, so the size is only actually on the glass itself. So what I've got to do is I'm now rubbing the back of the piece of paper with the copper on. I can see where there's any air bubbles, and then hopefully that's going to give me a copper finish, the moment of truth. As you peel it off, you can see any pieces sticking to the paper. And there we have it. I'm not going to touch that yet. I'm going to wait until I get a bit further along the process and then I'll polish the whole thing up, but I'm going to leave that as it is for now. And then, as I say, I'm going to try now to put alternating pieces of copper aligned with that. So not too easy because there's a border on the So once we've got that layer on, any little holes, we can just take a piece, the size is still sticky underneath, rub it over the hole and it just fills in all the blanks. See, if that was the gold and this was the surface, put it outside, it'll last forever. Because the gold is like, I mean, really, you need to be living in a house full of windows that frames are done like that. So with the softest possible cloth, I'm now dusting off the loose stuff. This is going to be the back of it, so it's not too crucial. The underside of this will be glass. If it was gold leaf, you'd have to very carefully clean it and buff it, but this is a very, very soft cotton cloth, but it's still creating marks in it, so you've really got to choose your weapons carefully, but I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think there's any holes in it. If it was gold leaf and this was the top surface, what you'd probably do is before you started you would paint the surface with a gold paint, let that dry and then put the size on top of that and the gold leaf on top of that, and then if there were any tiny pinholes that you'd missed, the colour underneath would be gold from the gold paint. So one of the tricks that they kind of do more recently. And but yeah, if this was gold and that was going to go on an external surface, that would last a long time, longer than paint, I'm sure. So 24 hours later and it's all dry, I'm going to trim off around the edges and then give it a coat of varnish. Finished product as a bathroom windowsill.